200,000 XP at the beginning of Chapter 3? Nah, we could do better. So what's up everybody, Jay here. Another guide for Final Fantasy 15. And this time I kind of want to revisit the same guide that I gave you the other day, which is for getting the 200,000 XP at the beginning of Chapter 3. Because after uploading it and then going to play a little bit, I came to the realization that I might have screwed up a few things, so I went back and I changed some stuff. Not only did I realize you can do this whole thing in fewer fights, you could do it in a quicker amount of time, and you can get a whole heck of a lot more XP from it. And when I say more, I mean we're going from 200,000 to 600,000. And the great thing about this setup is that you can kind of mold it into however you want. If you only want it to be about 300,000 because you want to go really quick, that's fine, you can do that. If you want to make this end up being over 1,000,000 XP, it's actually going to be really easy to do. And we're going to break that down a little later. But first, before we get into this guide, I want to say a quick thank you for everybody who watched that other video. At the time of recording this, that video is at about 9,000 views, which is amazing to me. I'm just some idiot kind of putting up help guides here for games on YouTube. I don't even know what I want to do yet. So to have that kind of turnout already for a video with the new subscribers and the likes and the comments, even the dislikes, I even love the dislikes. That's so awesome to me. So I just want to say thank you for anybody who watched it, anybody who's going to watch it in the future, and anybody who's watching this, thank you. It is very awesome. You guys made my weekend. But enough gushing. Come on, stupid. Let's go. It's XP time. So as I said before, this is kind of a revision of the previous guide. We're going to kind of redo it. So there are going to be a few steps I'm going to kind of just breeze right by real quick. And that way we can focus on the couple new things and then get into the actual fights and show how to really just reap the benefits of this. So first up, let's start with the items you're going to need. One, you're going to need 10,000 gil, and this is going to be able to use the Golden Key Inn. The inn gives you double XP when you stay the night there. And if you have the travel kit or travel aid, whatever it was from the pre-order bonus, this is only 5,000 gil you're going to need for it. The second thing you're going to need is 1,200 gil, and this is for the stacked ham sandwich. This is an item that's going to be thrown in here a little later. We're going to walk you through it, but this is going to be a 50% XP buff food. Next, you're going to need the items to craft all the Xperia cast spells. We're talking all of the debased items, so the coin, the banknote, the silver piece, and another item called the Old Book. So if you have any of those, that's awesome. I don't want you to go farm them, just check your inventory and see if you have these. But the one item for the Xperia cast that you're going to need is the rare coin. This is going to be one of the only items you actually go out and farm, so this will be the only area where really time is kind of based on luck. Some people have had a lot of luck going out to collect these, some people have really awful luck picking them up. But you're going to end up needing 9 of them. I'll explain in just a second how to get them. The other item we're going to get here is the Moogle Charm. That's going to be broken down here in just a sec, but this is a 20% XP buff to anybody who's wearing the charm. And then the last thing you're going to need is your elements. You can fill up your elements if you want to, but most importantly, you need to bring some fire. So there you go. That's everything we're going to need for this guide. First up, let's talk about the gil real quick. The 10,000 and the extra 1,200. Don't sell anything goofy just to make that. Go out and do some hunts, go do some side quests or something. Make sure you don't sell any of those debased items. Trust me, they are very helpful for what we're going to do. Next are those actual items. Once again, debased items, just keep what you have. I'm not going to tell you to go farm them or anything, but the main one is the 9 rare coins. Now to get these, you need to go to the Kling region, and you're going to want to walk around this little area. Look at this great Photoshop map I have here. You're going to want to follow the red lines around. You're going to be walking right by the road, checking the grass and the trees and by the rocks. You're going to be looking for the little blue sparkle items. These all have a chance to have a rare coin. So walk around, see if you can find them. If you're having problems getting some, you can also fight enemies because Gladios' survival ability has a chance of getting rare coins after battles. So just remember you only need 9. And next up, we're going to look at how to get the stacked ham sandwich. This is the 50% food buff. You're going to need to unlock Wiz's Chocobo post. Now this is pretty easy because right when you got into Chapter 3, Prompto brings up that he wants to go to the Chocobo farm, or the Chocobo post. You're going to just need to follow that quest line. It's going to take you to Wiz's, you're going to need to go kill Deadeye, and then come back and turn that in. From there, you're caught up, because now you're going to go back to Wiz's Chocobo post, and he should have some side quests for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk up to him, and look on the table right next to him. There should be an item there. You're going to click on that, and that will start the new quest chain for you. Now, the quest chain is about 5 quests long, but you only need to worry about the first 3. The first quest is going to have you go take a picture of a Chocobo. The second one, you're going to go heal a Chocobo. And the third one, you need to go get an agar root. This is a vegetable just outside of Golden Key. So hopefully you got one earlier in the game. If not, just travel back over there real quick. There's a bush just north of the city where you can get one, and there's one even a little further up north. So you can get both of them if you want to have them, just in case you want to make the food more often later. Once you have the root, go back to Wiz, and you're going to turn it in, and from there you're going to talk to him, not the item on the table, but him, and you're going to see that above eat, it's got an exclamation mark. And when you go into that, he now has a 4th food item to sell you. This is the Fat Chocobo stacked sandwich burger thing, crazy amount of food. And this is the item you need to buy. It sells for 1200 gil. So after you buy that, Ignis is going to learn a new recipe, and that is the stacked ham sandwich. And there you go, we now all own a 50% XP bonus food item. Next up, we're going to go get the Moogle Charm. Now, I know some people are going to think, but you can't get that till later in the game. That's actually not true. There is one inside Chapter 3 that you can get. And the way to get this is we're going to be going into one of the secret dungeons of the game. We're going to be going into the Dural Cavern. The easiest way I found to get there is head to Telpar Rest Area in Duscae, and then you can either auto drive or drive yourself, and you're going to be heading east outside of town. And the spot you want to look for or mark on your map for auto driving is just a little outside of this blue line here, because that's a tunnel. You want to do it just right before the curve. Now when you get here, you should see a staircase on the right hand side. When you climb down that, you're going to see a dirt path. This path will lead directly to the dungeon. As you get closer to the dungeon, go ahead and save just in case something happens in here. Now the caverns are filled with demons, usually from about level 17 to 20, but there are some necromancers in here that are level 41. But the bright side is you can actually get all the way to where the charm is looted with only having to fight one enemy. And he's only level 17, so lower levels can do this. So what you're going to want to do as you enter the cave is hug the wall on the left hand side. So just keep hugging the wall and move forward until you get to the item on the floor. Now you should be in a room that's got 2 forks. It's got a path to the left and right. Turn and look towards the right path and then just walk straight forward. This should bypass spawning the necromancer that can show up in this room. From there, go through the crack in the wall, and in this area is where you're going to actually have to fight. This is a level 17 Ronin. It's not too hard to beat, so go ahead and kick his butt. From there, just keep moving forward. You're going to drop down a couple ledges. Please don't descend. It's a slow climb. And immediately when you get to the bottom, don't move forward. What you're going to want to do is look to the left, and you should see a little creek flowing through there. And you're going to want to jump across that to all the rocks on the other side. And once again, you're going to want to hug the wall here and follow it all the way to the back of this room. This will spawn all the enemies in here, but they will not aggro you. So as you get to the end, drop down by the spikes and then walk into the tunnel. After a bit of walking through here, you're going to come to a room with a big green pond in the middle of it. Now this water here can poison you, but it's not that big a deal. But the most important thing about this is there's a little spot or a little patch of dirt on the other side of this water, and you'll see one of the blue sparkle things on it. That is your Moogle Charm. So walk over to it and get it, and you now have a 20% XP buff item. From there, press your right stick and then head out of the dungeon. Go back to your car, and all you need to do now is just get some elements. Like I said, the only one you really need to bring with you is fire. But if you are lower level, I would suggest maybe going to pick up at least some thunder. So travel to a couple campsites and fill her up. After all that's done, go ahead and travel to Hammerhead. And right here, I would suggest doing a quick inventory check. Make sure you still have your 10,000 gil, you have all of the debased items you want, you have your 9 rare coins, you have some elements, you have the Moogle Charm, and you can make the sandwich. And real quick, I probably should have thrown this out here earlier. If you don't have the meat for the stacked ham sandwich, you can head back to Wiz's Chocobo post. The vendor there has both meats for you. I'm not sure if the vendor in Hammerhead has it or which other ones do, but I know that one for a fact does. So once you're in Hammerhead and you're all prepped and ready to go ahead and save, because just in case something happens, you always want to be on the safe side. Now the objective this time that's different from the other video is I found out that one, all of those Expericast that you made in the other video, I had you make a stack of 5, you don't have to cast them one at a time, kill, and then leave. You can actually stack them on top of each other. So what you would have done different in that video is you go in and you'll end up throwing all 5, and then you would kill the Bandersnatch. But the bright side is you can actually do more than that. You can stack multiple versions of Expericast on itself. So this is why I told you to go ahead and keep all of your debased items. So what you need to do is go into your Elemancy, and if you have any spells in there, go ahead and get rid of them. You want as many flasks cleared up as possible. And then you're going to start making the Expericast. Start off with only using 1 fire and then put all 9 rare coins into it. This will give you a level 99 Expericast spell with 5 casts to it. And last time I had told you you needed to put all of the spells into this, all of the elements. You actually don't need to. That will not affect your XP whatsoever. So now you're going to do the same thing with all of your debased items. So the coin and the banknote, silver piece, all that, go ahead, 1 fire, and then throw all of the items of those into it. And if you don't have enough flask room for all of this, because I know I have 6, but some people may only have 3 or 4 at this point in the game, you don't have to make all of this now if you don't have the room for it, because remember, you can craft during combat. So once you're done with all of that, go ahead and equip those spells. So you can take off all your weapons off of Noctis and equip all of the spells into his combat slots. And that's it. You're pretty much good to go. So from here, go ahead and head north out of town, and you're going to want to go to the camp just outside of the Bandersnatch's lair. Now, once you're at the camp, we're going to save here, because we're going to do a few different little methods, and it's best to have a save file before you start the timer on the food buff. So the first thing we're going to look at here is the more conventional method. So go ahead and use the camp, and during the night, eat the stacked ham sandwich. When the morning comes, head east to his lair. Make sure the spell you have active is the one that you used the rare coins for, and then head in and throw your first spell at him. Now, unlike the other method we used, you are not trying to kill him right now. The goal here is to throw out as many spells as possible. All of the XP stacks on him, and this is why we also brought fire. If you did this with thunder, you get the same amount of XP, but he dies a lot faster. And the problem with that then is that you have to reload the fight a lot more often. Doing it this way, you're only going to have to do the fight 2, maybe 3 times. When I did it with Thunder, I ended up having to do the fight 7 times to get the same amount of XP. Once you throw your first Expericast, just start playing hide and seek with him. Run around the rocks, warp around the room. You just don't want to get hit too often by him. You don't even have to do any fancy dodging. This is actually pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Every time your spells come off a cooldown, throw another one at him. And he usually dies after about 4 minutes, which hopefully you'll be able to get through maybe 2 stacks of your spells. If anything, you'll at least get all of the rare coin ones out, and then you'll be working on your second stack. And you can see here from the multiple times I did it, you get a decent amount of XP. You're usually around 175,000. And with that 175k, I'm sure you can do the quick math. If you're going to be doing the double XP at that end, you've now made over 300,000 XP. More accurate, 350,000 XP. So after just that one fight, we've already earned more XP than we did last time. So if you really wanted to stop here, you could, but that's not what we're here for. So what you're going to do as you leave his lair, walk forward, and you want to just go right past this tower on the left-hand side. This will take you right outside of the range of his lair where you can save again. So what you want to do is save here, save in a different save file than you did at the camp. And after that's done, load that save file. After about a minute or so waiting for the load, you're going to obviously be in the same exact spot, but now the Bandersnatch is respawned. So turn around, head back into his lair, and do the fight again. The advantage to this over the other method was the other method had you going to different regions in order to get him to respawn. So this will actually save you about a good 5 minutes. So once again, another thing we are using to shave time off of this. Now here's where it might get interesting for you. You may either run out of spells during this fight, or you may finish with maybe just a couple left. If you run out of spells during this fight, make another spell. Really, it depends on how much health he has left is going to determine what you make. If he's only got a little bit of health left, don't use a big rare item just to make some giant Thunderga or a Quadcast or Quintacast. You don't really need to. He's going to die pretty quick. And if you somehow finished your spells off and he still had over half of his health, that's when you want to make something big. And that's probably what you'll run into if you finish the fight with maybe 2 of your Expericasts left. So if you have to do this fight a 3rd time, obviously go out, save, reload, come back in, use those couple last casts that you have, and then make your big spell. But really, you should have gotten pretty close to using all of them on that second fight. And with that done, you should have about 300,000 XP. So right there alone is your 600,000 experience once you go to the end. But we're not doing that quite yet. If you wanted to, you could. You could stop right here if you wanted to, but we're gonna look at another way to get your experience too. Because some people might not like going in and having to jump around and dodge them for a while. Plus, I've seen other people say that this method actually returns more XP. So what we're going to look at now is going in and just leaving the fight constantly. So what you can do here is you can either reload the save that we had from the night before, or just watch my example here. So that's what I did. I reloaded my save from the night before, so I had the same exact stats and everything. Went ahead, used the camp, ate the stacked ham sandwich, and started off the next morning. And with this method, what you do is you run in with your spell, you go right up to him, you throw it, and then you run right back out. As you can see, using that first Expericast granted 23,000 XP for Noctis. Now all you would do is just wait for the cooldown, and you would just do it over and over again. This does keep you from having to fight him. It also keeps you from having to worry about running out of these spells and then having to figure out a way to kill him. Now though, I'm sure you're wondering, does this have bigger XP returns than the other method? And the answer to this is no, it does not. As you can see, I have them both up here. This is going to be the last part of each fight. And using the last spell with the method of just hitting him and running, Noctis finished off with 286,000 XP, and everybody finished off at 252. Using the method of just casting and then waiting it out and then eventually killing him, granted Noctis 305,000 XP and 269,000 for everybody else. So it was about a 20,000 XP difference for Noctis, which is really almost 40,000 when you go turn it in at the end. Now, I will say what the other version has going for it is time, because you could run into the problem, one, of running out of spells and still having to fight the Bandersnatch, but two, you do have to reload. So even though you're only reloading for 1, maybe 2 extra fights, that is still a few extra minutes that you're having to sit there and do other stuff. You're having to walk away, go save, reload, walk back, fight, rinse, repeat. So really, the question here is, do you either want to save a few minutes or do you want to get about an extra 40,000 XP? But like I said, we saved at the camp for a special reason, because there's a third way you can go about this, and that is by pooling some of your quests. Great place to do this is Lestalem, because there are a lot of quests there that are all in the same area, but you'll pick up about 5 or 6 at a time, plus you can get a hunt. So what you would just do is you would go do all those quests, have them all completed but not turned in, go find a camp, stay overnight, eat your stacked ham sandwich, and then you would travel back to Lestalem, turn them all in, get all that XP. So even if there were only 2,000 XP apiece, and you were only turning in, say, maybe 5 of them, all 5 of those are going to have the 50% bonus from the food, they're going to have the 20% bonus from the Moogle Charm, and then they're going to stack on top of all your other XP, which is going to be doubled when you go back to the inn. So you could actually do that. So that's why I had you save at night. If you decide you wanted to go do quests, you can actually go do those now and then come back and do this whole thing. So this is why it falls into that whole, I'm calling it 600,000 XP, but it could be a whole heck of a lot more depending on what you want to put into it. And now real quick, I want to give you a couple tips on just speeding up the fight if you're going to do this the conventional way. Especially if you're going to either try to go turn in quests or you want a lot of time left on your food buff. What you're going to want to do is make sure you are close enough to him every time that cooldown's coming off. I know it's really easy to just be warping around and hey, it came off a cooldown, now I got to run to him because he's too far. Make sure you're close enough to constantly cast. And then also, when he's close to dying, go stand by the exit. Go stand by that ramp. Don't walk all the way up the ramp because you don't want to accidentally get too close or have him knock you back on accident and you get knocked out of there. But stand close to it. Even if he's fighting everybody else, he likes to use his specials on you. So he'll eventually run over to you, try to kill him by the ramp. That way you can get out quicker to save and reload. And this will give you a shot at having a lot of time left on your food buff. So if you wanted to, you could go do more quests. You can get a couple hunts in. You can just go out and kill demons during the night like iron giants or something. This is another one of those things that falls into however you want to do it to make it more XP for you. And now let's talk real quick about some of the prep work to actually help expand the amount of XP you get. Number 1, you can get more rare coins. Now the way these work is they all come with a base level of 12. Having 8 will get you a level 96. Having that 9th one gets you level 99. Now from there, if you either have 12 coins or 16, you will get extra casts, but the XP itself won't go up. So what I would actually suggest doing is if you're going to go ahead and just farm more coins, go at least to 18. The other thing you can do is go farm some of the debased items. I didn't have you do that for this just because I wanted to show you that the items could stack. But if you wanted to, you can go farm even more of them and make even more bonus level 99 items. Once again, this is something that's on you. If you want to farm it, you can. And now let's talk about what you can do further on in the game. Because later on, there's another food item. There's a lasagna in this game that gives you 100% XP buff. But there's also an inn in Altissa that gives you 3 times XP for staying the night there. It does cost 30,000 gil or 15,000 if you've got the item, but still, that's 3 times the amount. If you just take into account what I did in this video, which was getting to about 300,000 with all these fights, going and staying at that inn alone turns it into 900,000 XP. And that's why I was saying you could easily hit 1 million with this method or even more. If you wanted to go nuts, you could get a whole bunch of stacks of rare coins, have those bonus level 99 Xpericasts, get tons of XP, have your food buff already on, all that, go stay at that inn and just rake in over millions of experience. This method is totally up to you on how you want to approach it. What I wanted to do here was just give you the guidelines on what you needed to do. I showed you that you can get these items pretty quick. The worst thing to get is those 9 rare coins. But once you got that, getting the stacked ham sandwich is really quick. Getting the Moogle Charm is really quick. Elements are obviously always really quick. You probably have the debased items already because you've just been looting everything as you've gone through the game. And you can turn that easily around into 600,000 experience by doing 2 fights that last you about 15 minutes tops, including loading. Or you can do something else too. There's actually a 4th method on doing this, and that's saving the XP. I could easily take this 300,000 that I made and start going to do other quests. I can just play the game regularly and just pull it up. And if you're worried about the food buff, yeah, you can't get the 50% food buff, but you can go to other restaurants. Like you could go to the Golden Key and get the food buff for 10% bonus XP. You still have your Moogle Charm, so you still have ways of getting more, and you can just keep gathering it up even more. That's why I really like this method, because it allows you to kind of mold it to how you want, but it's also so early in the game that almost anybody can do it. You don't have to worry about being in Chapter 9. Like, to get to Altissa, you have to be in Chapter 9. I believe the food, you have to have cooking at level 9, so it takes a bit to get there. This is all stuff that's later in the game. Doing it just with the method I showed you, you can do it just about 20 minutes into Chapter 3. You can only be an hour and a half into this game and do this farming method. But there you go, another way to XP farm. This isn't the end-all be-all. I'm sure there's some other methods out there that work really well, especially some in-game ones. So hopefully this helped you out. I hope you guys enjoyed. But really, if it did, if it helped you out or you did enjoy it, leave a like, maybe subscribe. I'm going to have more Final Fantasy 15 videos coming out here pretty soon. I'm going to have gameplay videos from other games, anything else that kind of tickles my fancy. I got a few other things rolling around in the old noggin up here. But hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Later.